Mapping has been around for forever. We've been mapping, apart from TomTom being mapping the world for the last 56 years or more. Governments have been doing mapping for their own purposes for many years. And in the old days, governments were the custodian of map data. Just the world has really turned a corner where mapping has become really important, and location-based services are the new buzzword. And we can't wait for government anymore to do these map updates that happen sporadically, and you never know when's a new release. So companies like TomTom, Nokia Maps, it's our job to go out there and to make sure that we can create this amazing digital map data set so that companies can license it and can utilize it. So you can imagine if you're involved in an accident or you're involved in a robbery, you want to make sure that the response teams can find you accurately today and not wait
2 hours time.
Exactly. So
where does the data come from? What are the most accurate sources you're drawing on?
So data can come from, like I mentioned, government. We could actually commission our field teams to go out and to do work themselves. We utilize imagery, satellite imagery. In some instances, we fly countries at our own cost. And by flying, we utilize the data that we get to actually map out where the road network is, etc. We also work very closely with our community, both the business and your sort of online mobile consumer, where they're able to give us feedback about new roads or problems that they're finding when they're utilizing our data set. So indirectly through our business partnerships and our own consumer products, we're able to get millions and millions of probe data coming back into our back offices, which goes through to our head office in South Africa, which looks after all the map data for Africa. And we have processes in place to verify that changes that are reported are either correct or incorrect, and where there's a need, we then send out a team to go and verify if need be.
So tell me what Nokia Maps and Google Maps are doing in Africa.
I don't know, it's a bit difficult to say exactly what they're doing, but I guess like TomTom, they realize that Africa is a strategic part of the world that every big business wants to get involved in. Africa is also seen to be the last sort of
unmapped.
Exactly, seems to be the holy grail where there's lots of business opportunity. And for lots of European companies or African companies, they all want to move into sort of East Africa, but they need to understand the sort of landscape. It's pointless bringing in consumer goods to a country and not knowing if there's a proper road network, because at the end of the day, it just means that product's going to be sitting in some hub and there's no delivery network.
And Google Maps has sort of bought into a company in order to get into the market.
So Google is starting to acquire its own map data sets from local people within the various countries, African countries. They're also becoming more and more aggressive and trying to play a deeper role in mapping. So yes, definitely, they're definitely becoming more and more of a competitor to us. I think in Africa though, we're very fortunate because of our history of mapping Africa for over 56 years. It's going to take even the mighty Google time to catch up.
Yeah.
And
so who is using the data? Essentially you're selling to other people who then sell to users.
Yes, so we have our own consumer products, being the TomTom navigation devices. So anyone that's utilizing one of those devices, it's our product. We have companies like the Yellow Pages in South Africa, Nedbank, one of the largest banks in South Africa as well. They utilize our data.
And how many users does Nedbank have on that?
I would guesstimate that they have at least 500,000 uniques. So would a company like the Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
But what sets us truly apart from our competitors and why we've got such an amazing client base is because of our extremely high quality data. Our customers stick with us because they expect the best coverage possible and the most detailed maps. So, some of our competitors compete with us head on in city centers, but where they fall short is in the rural areas. And that's where we invest a lot, because the rural areas and Africa itself, that's where everybody's looking for opportunities. And from a negative point of view, when cars are stolen, they tend to end up in these sort of places. And when we send recovery teams in to recover these vehicles, they also need accurate maps to ensure that they can get teams to do these sort of recoveries.
Let's talk of use outside of South Africa. You were talking about use in Uganda.
Yes, Uganda, we're doing some pilot projects with UNICEF. We work with companies like AfriAd, SatNav East Africa. We've had extensive talks with the Ugandan government.
Yeah. So what is UNICEF using it for?
UNICEF are looking at creating we actually created a mobile workforce tool for UNICEF, which basically allows a field worker to go out and collect information. What it means for companies like UNICEF is when they send a field worker out, they can actually pick up a position to ensure that the representative went out to complete the task in question. And more importantly, it's about also helping the end user the mobile worker to navigate to his next job. So it's not just using a map, it's also utilizing turn-by-turn navigation included in the app, which makes life a lot more easy.